Hello, it's January 10th, 2026, and Brenda and I are taking a little trail here in the San Jacinto Mountains, down here in Riverside County, Southern California. We're on the Ramona Trail. All the years that I've been coming up to the San Jacinto Mountains, I've never been on this trail before. This is called the Ramona Trail, and it basically skirts the slopes of Thomas Mountain. You're basically looking at Thomas Mountain up above. This trail starts down right near Highway 74, and this will take you up to a place called Toolbox Springs, which is about 3.5 miles from the trailhead. We're not going to walk that far because we already did some hiking earlier. I just wanted to come down here and give this trail, just kind of check it out a little bit. We're probably going to go maybe a mile and then turn around. But just wanted to give you an idea of what this particular area is like. It's very, very beautiful up here. We're overlooking Garner Valley. This is Garner Valley out in front. And you see the towering San Jacinto Mountains in the distance. This is actually the San Jacinto Mountains where we are now, but what you're looking at is the main backbone of the San Jacintos. That's out by Mount San Jacinto, which is almost 11,000 feet. It's that mountain right in the very back that you can sort of see, and then the mountain in the front there is part of Taquitos Ridge, Taquitos Peak, and then the little town of Idlewild sits basically between those two ridges back there. And the mountain, the ridge line that runs all along the background there, that's basically called the Desert Divide country. This section of the San Jacintos is much less populated in terms of hikers and campers and outdoorsmen. A lot of the more popular trails, the ones that really get busy, are up around Mount San Jacinto State Park, up around Idlewild, Pine Cove, up in the northern section of the San Jacintos. But this southern section of the San Jacintos is much more isolated. It's much more pristine. Not a whole lot of activity out here. There's really no towns or anything up here. There's just Lake Hemet right down the road, and then a little ways down, basically on the other side of this ridge line, is the town of Anza, California, and then you have the Anza Valley. And I'll zoom in a little bit. That big mountain that you see out in the distance, that's Toro Peak. That's the highest mountain in the Santa Rosa Mountains. And the Santa Rosa Mountains that you see in the distance, those are connected to the San Jacinto Mountains. They're basically separated by Highway 74. But yeah, this is just a really nice, beautiful section of Southern California. I actually think that in terms of just physical beauty, just scenery, in all of Southern California, I think this is probably the prettiest section of Southern California. In my opinion, the Garner Valley area of the San Jacinto Mountains, I've always just thought that this was like an exceptionally beautiful area. And again, this is the Ramona Trail, and this is pretty much what the trail looks like the whole way. It's a well-marked trail, and it's not overly steep. It's, it meanders on up, so it gains elevation at a steady clip, but it's not overly steep. And as you can see, the lower slopes there's not a whole lot of tree cover here, but there is quite a few shrubbery. There's a lot of shrubbery and chaparral and basically mountain mahogany and manzanita and chamise, toyon, all the little, the shrub communities. So there's quite a bit of greenery here. It's just not a whole lot of pine trees or oak trees or things like that. But once you get closer to the top of Thomas Mountain, it becomes much more forested. Oh, but it's so nice out here. I love coming to these isolated trails, these trails that really don't have a whole lot of hikers and a whole lot of activity. It's just really nice to have the place to yourself, and I can let Brenda run around and I don't have to be so hyper vigilant. So it's kind of nice to be on one of these less popular, less traveled trails. So fun. I haven't seen any mountain lions or bobcats. Not much in the way of animal activity. You always hear reports of people seeing bobcats, mountain lions. They don't have any bears up in the San Jacintos. At least they generally don't. They have a few in the San Bernardinos, but once in a while you'll have a bear that crosses the San Gorgonio Pass, and we'll go through Banning, and then we'll head up into the San Jacintos. But generally they don't have bears up here. They also have some bald eagles up here. At nearby Lake Hemet, they have a nesting area there at Lake Hemet. They have a bald eagle nesting area, and it's an interesting area. This portion of Riverside County is really interesting, and it's a really nice area. It's so far away from Riverside and LA and just, you know, that whole congested urban mess. I think Brenda wants to go all the way to the top. She wants to go all the way up to Toolbox Springs. If we started earlier in the day, we probably would have done that. But I mean, that's a fairly good hike. That's about 7 miles round trip. And I'm not used to hiking that long. I used to hike that long regularly, but I'm a little bit out of practice. I haven't really done a longer hike like that in a while, especially because of my hip. Right, girl? But you'd probably go all the way to the top. But she's being nice. She could leave me in the dust, but she's taking pity on me. Another reason I like to hike in the cooler weather is because you don't have to worry about rattlesnakes. They have quite a few rattlesnakes out here. The Southern Pacific rattlesnake, that's a big deal out here. So if you're out here hiking on these trails in summertime, spring, summertime, even into the fall, you have to be mindful of where you place your feet. We're gonna turn back shortly because it's already starting to get kind of dark. The sun is already set behind the hillsides there, and the temperature's dropped several degrees too. So yeah, I think it's about time we're gonna head back. And I think I'll end the video here with one last little shot. We're looking southeast, and I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, and you can see a little community down there. You can see some houses down there, some buildings. That's part of Garner Valley. There's a small community called Garner Valley. The valley itself is called Garner Valley, but then they have an actual community called Garner Valley. So that's what you see off in the distance. And it's a nice little community. I mean, they have a post office, and that's pretty much it. I don't even think they have much in the ways of any type of commerce. I've driven around there a few times, and I think they may have like a little market. It's been a while since I've driven through there. I think they may have a market, but they do have a post office, and they have like a community center there. I'm not sure if they have HOA, if the community is part of an HOA or not, homeowners. But yeah, it's a nice little community. It's nice and isolated. The community itself sits about 4,600 feet. Thomas Mountain, where this trail goes all the way pretty much to the top of Thomas Mountain, and Thomas Mountain is about 6,800 feet. So you know, you can get a fair bit of elevation if you go all the way to the top of this trail. But I think Brenda and I are going to head back before it gets any cooler and before the sun sets any further. So, okay, we're basically back down at the trailhead. I just wanted to finish up this video. We basically just came down from that direction, and it's a nice area here. As you can see, lots of nice pine trees. And we're just going to be heading back to the car. It's a nice little hike. And that's Highway 74. So you get an idea of how close the trailhead is to the highway. It's right off Highway 74. It's, I don't know, probably what, 3-4 miles south of Lake Hemet, maybe more, maybe 5 miles. They don't have much of a trail sign here, but that's the trail right off Highway 74, Ramona Trail. You cross these little gates right here, these little grates, and nice big parking area. And there you go, Ramona Trail, Garner Valley, San Jacinto Mountains.